Okay, someone asked me to do a Batman versus Iron Man. Now this one's going to be kind of difficult to do because logically, if you look at classic Batman, he would be in his full suit, utility belt, taking out Iron Man in his full suit of armor. That's really not the best way to have these two guys fight. Ironically, Batman has also created suits of armor. So do you do Batman in armor versus Iron Man in armor? Do you do Batman in normal gear versus Iron Man in normal gear? Or do you have them both essentially, do you just do Batman by himself versus Iron Man with no armor? So I'm going to try to do all three of these. Now as always I have 9 different criteria. Intelligence, fighting ability, strength, speed, durability, invulnerability, energy projection, versatility, and X factor. So we'll go first and foremost with them just essentially in street clothes. So this is Tony by himself, and this is Batman essentially in more of a Bruce Wayne setup. So there's no utility belts, no armor, nothing. Just these two guys are just going to have a regular good old-fashioned street fight. No gear. So for most of these, they'll probably end up staying relatively the same. We'll go with intelligence. This is the one that's probably the most difficult to go through. Because you've got on one hand, you've got technological genius in Tony. Batman, very good technical skills, probably not on par with Tony, but he's also an ace detective, so he's got a tremendous amount of investigative skills. Both have dealt with alien tech. Both have got, people who kind of go, they're one of the smartest people around. The only time I've actually got where they both worked together was in JLA Avengers. And in that one, ironically, what happened, they were working on one of the crafts to go attack Krona towards the very end. And Iron Man did mention how rerouting some of the energy from the weapons to the propulsion system is going to give them a tremendous amount of additional speed. And he wouldn't have thought of it. So from that aspect, he did seem to get a slight one-up on it. So I have to put that into perspective, as well as the fact that someone like Ra's al Ghul and Vandal Savage constantly remark about how brilliant Batman is. And when he looks at how he works in the JLA, he doesn't have any superpowers. So it is his overall strategic ability that puts him ahead. So out of these two, I do have to give the intelligence edge to Batman. And I'm going to go with fighting ability. In this one, intelligence will say the same across the board. Fighting ability. Batman is an undeniably well-trained combatant. Tony, not as much. Can he beat the average street punk on his own? Yes. Is he in Batman's league? No. Fighting ability, Batman. Strength. Without Tony's suit, he's taking on a world-class athlete. Tony, not a slouch in his own regard, but he does have the suit to kind of work as a crutch, so he doesn't need to have anywhere near the amount of physical ability that Batman is required to have. Speed. Again, I have to go with Batman. Durability. Tony does have a history of alcoholism, as well as other drug dependency issues, as well as also having a heart condition. So I think as this fight goes on longer, this is going to definitely favor Batman. Invulnerability. Again, you've got two guys, no armor. It's going to come down to who overall is just the tougher individual. And I'm again going to give this one to Batman. Energy projection, they're really not throwing anything at each other. They really don't have any sort of distance fighting except for whatever they can grab a hold of. So that's just looking at improvised weaponry with no time to really plan around an object how to use it. So I will again give that one to Batman. Versatility, again, looking at Batman. X Factor, Batman. So these two guys were to meet, no suits, just two guys fighting each other. Tony does not have a single chance at all beating someone like Batman. If it's Tony versus Bruce, Bruce has got this. He got this in spades. Now you put these two in their suits. Ironically, Batman has been shown to have a suit that is the equivalent of Superman. Also in the future, he's been shown to create suits that help patrol Gotham. Very similar to what they show in the future with Iron Man, where he created an army of his own suits to help police things while he stayed relatively safe in his bunker. Kind of bizarre that you have two people who are both billionaires, who both kind of have father issues, and in the far-flung future, when they can't physically do it, they actually create an army of robots to do the work for them. So, in this scenario, we're looking at Batman in a suit of armor, Iron Man in a suit of armor. Intelligence, fighting ability, those are going to stay the same. Now we're going to look at overall things like strength. Batman did have a suit that allowed him to get pretty close to replicating what Superman can do, which is very, very impressive. But he's been shown to use that suit very, very frequently. Normally he doesn't use those sorts of equipment. So there might be some lapses when it comes to the overall best application of some of these abilities. Iron Man spends all of his time in his suit. So I will actually give a strength advantage to Iron Man just because he'll have a better application when it comes to overall using the abilities of the suit. Speed. Batman's still being used to controlling things himself. There probably will be that couple second lag between what he's doing and what he's able to do in the suit, where with Tony it's a near symbiotic relationship. Durability. Batman tends to not make these suits for a super long period of time. Tony does. However, if their suits are relatively equivalent, now look at the person on the inside. Batman's not going to get tired. Tony over time will probably end up getting a bit more winded. And vulnerability. Since Batman suits were normally made for kind of a... They weren't made for super long periods of time. They were made more for kind of like one and dones, or Superman's not here, so I'm going to do what I can to fill in his shoes. Iron Man is entirely dependent upon that suit to keep him safe. So therefore, when it comes to the overall abilities you're going to see and the overall defensive capabilities, you're going to see a lot more of them in Iron Man's suit. Energy projection. If I'm looking at a suit that can replicate what Superman can do, it's got lasers and frost breath. Iron Man normally has repulsor beams. He has a chest cannon. He normally brings a lot more distance game to him. Overall versatility. Again, Iron Man packs a lot of gear into his robots, into his suits. So he's got a lot more when it comes to what he can bring to the table. Now, X Factor, this is going to have to kind of go to Batman. The reason I'm giving this one kind of to Batman is, he's used suits infrequently, so we don't know what sort of contingencies he's built into them. But, like we've seen in things like Tower of Babel, he is tremendous when it comes to building in some sort of contingencies. So, if these two guys were to fight in a suit, Iron Man is going to take him the majority of the time, just because he's got a much greater acclimate when it comes to using the suit. Now we go into the last one. This one, of course, is Batman, normal gear, Iron Man, normal gear. Now, as always, intelligence and fighting ability are going to stay the same. Now we look at strength. Batman is strong, but he's taking on a guy who's got a robotic suit. Speed. Batman is relatively quick, he's taking on someone who can fly. Durability. Normally in this sort of scenario, I would give the nod to Batman. However, the way he's going to have to fight against Tony is going to wind him ridiculously fast, because he has to essentially dodge missiles, laser cannon, bullets. He's going to have to try to be constantly moving, so he's going to get very winded much faster than you'd see for someone like Tony, who can almost stay stationary. Invulnerability. Batman has got some very good abilities to his overall suit when it comes to ability to take punishment. Again, he's taking on a guy in a metal suit. Energy projection. This one of them, this is just your pure distance abilities, and that goes entirely to Iron Man in this one. He's got a lot more he can do at a distance. Versatility. In this one, I could probably see... I can see giving the versatility edge to Batman. While Tony does have a suit that's full of a whole bunch of gadgets and gizmos, he's taking on somebody who has a belt that pretty much has the equivalent of whatever Tony has inside his suit. And he's also going to be a slightly better job when it comes to using some of those things in a faster, more effective manner. Now it comes down to overall X factor. Again, I'm going to give this one to Batman. The reason being, Batman has defeated people in suits before. There are people who have definitely outclassed him that he does have the ability to defeat. He actually has beaten someone like Lex Luthor in Luthor's suit. That's a very impressive feat. So, if it comes to straight Batman versus regular Iron Man, the majority of the time this fight will of course go to Tony. Just because at a distance, he's going to destroy Batman. If this fight goes on for too long, any mistake Batman makes, he's probably going to be killed. That having been said, Batman has a tremendous amount of tricks up his sleeve that if he's able to close that gap, and he's able to get close enough, he might have things to help him disable that suit. If he's been able to do it to someone like Lex Luthor, without really having a lot of foreknowledge and planning involved to it, he can probably also do the same thing to Tony.